Oh, there we go. She said it. Recording in progress. Okay. So today, talk about browsers and how the internet works. We're going to start with the internet first because I think that kind of prefaces browsers and how they work. But how does the internet work? How the internet works? Magic. Just kidding. It doesn't work like magic, although sometimes you think it does. But I promise there's definitely years and years of technology behind these and reasons why things are done a certain way. But the first thing I'm going to talk about is what actually is the internet. The internet is a vast network of computers that connect each other to around the world. That's connected via all with cables, with wireless internet, like Wi-Fi and satellites. And the next couple of slides I have are just a couple of images of crazy stuff. So I blew this up really large, but all these lines are actually cables that run under the ocean into different countries. And I mean, even I didn't even know there's this many of them. But as you can see, there's, I'm assuming, millions of feet, hundreds, 100,000 miles of underwater cabling stretching all over the world. I mean, I really only ever thought there was, like, honestly, I thought there was one cable from like New York to like Europe, and I thought all of Europe itself was connected with like another cable to Australia. I didn't realize that all of these cables existed, but I guess it makes sense. I mean, Hawaii needs internet too, I guess. Anyway, I thought this was a really cool picture. This is actually an interactable website that I got this from, so I can send you guys links to all the stuff that I got my stuff from, so if you guys can take a look at it on your own. That was pretty cool. And then this next one, so an anonymous person created a giant network of 420,000 infected devices with unreliable passwords. So basically, this person hacked around 400,000 devices that had unreliable passwords, and it used those devices to ping anything it could on the networks around the world. And that's about 460 billion devices you're seeing at this time. This was in 2012, by the way. So it's probably more devices now, but as you can see, it was kind of mesmerizing. You can watch it turn blue when night comes and turn red when it like daytime comes, and you can kind of just visualize people waking up and going to sleep. And I don't know, I thought that was a pretty cool picture. Anyway, so everything on the computer, every user agent, every device on the computer, on the network, on the internet, is assigned an IP address. IP addresses are actually managed by a company, a corporation, the ICANN, the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. What basically ICANN does is it hands out blocks of IP addresses to regional authorities around the world. And then those regional authorities hand them out to ISPs, internet service providers, and hosting companies. And then when you connect your computer to your ISP, like Spectrum, for example, they will assign you an IP address. Most of the time it changes after a few months, but you can get a dedicated IP. I think it costs more for that kind of stuff, but they do rotate them out. So if you want to see what your IP address is, there's 100 ways to see it online. Easiest one I go to is IP Chicken. I actually highlighted mine out because I don't trust any of you guys from writing it down and trying to hack my computer for fun. But yeah, ipchicken.com, you can see your IP address. Kind of cool to know that that's the one that like you have that represents your computer on the vast network of devices around the world. But that does mean that there's limited number of IP addresses. I mean, let's think about it. IPv4 is like what? 12 characters, 12 numbers, right? Triple X, triple X, triple X, triple X, with an example of what an IPv4 address looks like. With that layout, though, that gives us 2 to the 32nd power of IP addresses to choose from. So it's like 4 billion. There's more than 4 billion devices on the planet. What are we going to do, right? How do you handle that? By the way, your computer recognizes itself as well with the IP address 127.0.0.1 or localhost. So, and by the way, if I'm going too fast, you can ask me to slow down. Or if you got questions, feel free to interject. I'm This definitely isn't just a me throwing information at you. It's meant to be kind of like back and forth. So yeah, we've hit a point now where these IPv4 addresses are being used up. So what was the response? Well, we came up with something called the IPv6 IP address. You probably aren't ever going to really deal with these because, I mean, look at them. It's 8 groups of 4 hexadecimal digits with equaling a total of 340 trillion possible combinations of IP addresses. So I don't think we're ever going to have a problem with devices connected to the internet with this, but I don't have any devices connected with that IP address, I believe, and I doubt any of you do. These hexadecimal IP addresses might actually be more geared towards devices that you really don't touch too often, like maybe your car or something like that. But that's just me spitballing. So with these IP addresses, though, come the problem of no one's going to remember what Google's IP address is, right? I mean, you can go type it into your browser right now if you knew it and get to Google, but no one's going to remember their IP address. So that's where the domain name system comes in, the DNS. So the DNS is essentially an address book of IP addresses to names. The names have to be unique. So google.com is not the same as google.org. This is spitball. This is, everyone probably knows this, but they have to be unique and they have to be registered with the domain registrars. Like basically you have to tell them to put it in their address book. When you go to a website and you type in, for example, amazon.com, the first thing your browser is going to do is it's going to check your computer's cache to see if it's ever been to amazon.com before and if that IP address leads to it. If it does, then it's set, good to go, loads up quickly. If it doesn't, then it will reach out to your ISP, which would be Spectrum probably for a lot of us, and say, has anybody in your network ever been to amazon.com? More than likely, it's probably true. On the off chance that no one's ever been to amazon.com in your ISP cache, then it's going to reach out to the DNS server and actually get the name from the actual DNS server and match the IP address up. So that's kind of like how that works. It's kind of cool that they are capable of stuff like that. All right, so the way the internet talks to each other is through the TCP protocol. The really only thing you have to know about that is that data on the internet is sent in packets of information at a time, with essentially like an index of where they belong in the chain of command. And if any index is left out, aka the data received is not right, then the server can request to get the correct packet back again. Because back in the early days when the internet was first created, one of the issues they had was they would send data through the line and would lose it along the way. So they had to worry about data integrity. And this was one of the ways to do it, was TCP. But once that data reaches where it's going, how does where it's going know what kind of data it is, right? So that's where, specifically for us web developers, this is where the hypertext transfer protocol comes in, or HTTP. It's essentially a set of commands that, like, you can think of it as a set of rules that the endpoint has to follow to understand what it's trying to render. So an HTTP works by the user agent, which is either, I say user agent, it's either a computer, a phone, any connected device on the internet, sends a request to a server, probably a web server, and then the web server sends a response. So it's a request and response back and forth, like a conversation. And the 4 basic parts of an HTTP request is the method, which is, it's also called the verb. It describes what action the user wants to perform on the server. So that would be like a get, a post, a put. I'll talk about those in a minute. Then the next part is the URL, Basically, it tells the server or what resource it wants. Then there are the headers, which supply metadata to the servers so that it knows kind of like, hey, I accept like compressed responses, and stuff like that. And then the body, the last part, the body is optional. It contains extra data sent to the server. So for example, if you logged into Facebook or something, your login credentials is the body sent to the server, for example. Here's an example of a request. This is, it's a GET request to example.com. The user agent basically tells the server what agent just made the request. Mozilla version 4.0 on a Windows machine. So it's also telling it that it accepts the language in US, and that it accepts the encoding gzip and deflate. So if you have a server and you're in control of, of compressing the files on your server, you can compress them in gzip, and this request says that it will understand the gzip response sent back to it. That's just an example. So here are some more methods. Get, which is used to request data from a resource. Get requests never send data. They always get data, and they always are meant to get a resource. Now, the server can respond with like static or dynamic content, and I'll talk about that later, but get is used to get data. Post, the post request is used to send data to a server to create or update a resource. Now, if you read put, it says the exact same thing, but it's about you can use a post as a put, and you can use a put as a post, especially if you're the one controlling the server. But they are different in the sense that Eric says postman. I don't know when he said that. It was a while back. Okay, so post, when you send data to a server, post is meant to, I'm going to say this wrong, I think, it's not meant to be idempotent, I think is the word. Basically, if you send data to a server through a post method, the server is expected to create something new and change the servers every time. Whereas like a put, you send data to a server and it's the same thing every time, regardless of how many times you do a put. I'll give you an example. A create user. Let's say you run a command in your website that sends a command to your server to create a user. Well, that's going to create a user every time you send the command, right? That's what post is for. Put would be to, if you wanted to update your user and no more users are created. You're just changing some data and you're going to get back the same thing every time. That's the gist of it. But then there's also patch delete options ahead. You can't send put patch deleted options or head requests on your own. You actually have to do those with like JavaScript. Get and post kind of happen on their own when you use the browser. Like by default, sending a form with HTML does it through the post method. But those are kind of important to know in the future. So that's why I'm talking about them now. Web servers, yippee. So in computing, a server is a piece of computer hardware or software that provides functionality for other programs or devices called clients. I think I pulled that right from Wikipedia. So a web server is the hardware and software involved in understanding URLs and HTTP. It responds to user agent requests like we just talked about with static or dynamic content and assets. So back when the internet first came about, everything was static. A website was an HTML file and you served up google.com/index.html. And the index.html file was sent to the browser back to you and rendered on the screen, static content. Nowadays, though, web pages are dynamically created on the fly. That's where dynamic content comes in. So users' posts on a comment section are stored in the database, and that data is pulled from the database at the time of the request and populated in an HTML file if the rendering is happening on the server, and then sent back that way. So that's kind of the dynamic part of it. Did have something to say. I can't remember what I was going to say. I just thought about it while I was talking. Anyway, oh, I go back. There we go. By default, HTTP servers run on port 80, and HTTPS servers typically run on port 443. HTTPS is the secured version of HTTP. So you have the SSL certificate installed on your server. That's a whole other topic. It's making your server secure, but these are the defaults. And I'll get into ports in a second and what a port is. Oh, here it goes, ports. So in a computer, ports are logical. Did I write this down? I think I wrote this down. I did. I think I have it in the next one. Okay, I will come back to that. So a port is a virtual point where network connections start and end. Ports are software-based and are managed by a computer's operating system. Each port is associated with a specific process or service. Ports allow computers to easily differentiate between different kinds of traffic, such as emails go to different ports than web pages, for instance, even though they both reach a computer over the same internet connection. I'll go over each part of this in a second, but I wanted to kind of show you that there are 65,535 ports available, basically on every computer that can handle it. And FTP servers typically run on port 20 and 21. SSH typically is 22, and then you can see the rest. SMTP is email, runs on port 25. So, okay, so to make sure you guys understand what ports are, I kind of came up with this, what I think is kind of a cool metaphor. So imagine that you're at your home and you have 65,535 mailboxes, right? And each one of those mailboxes can or can't, like, may lead to like a business you own, for example, right? Let's say your mailbox number 80 is to your Etsy business. And everyone in the world has pretty much agreed upon that port 80 is for Etsy businesses and port 10 is for your Amazon deliveries. Well, you don't have to have, if a package from Amazon comes through your mailbox 10, it goes to you because that's what you assigned it. But if you ended up changing your Amazon port, your Amazon mailbox to like maybe mailbox 11, people are going to still try to send your Amazon mail through mailbox 10, and it's not going to go anywhere because inside in your home, you've changed to say that my Amazon port is mailbox is 11. So now your mail's not going to get to you. So to kind of fix that, the person sending the mail could specifically say that I want this to go to port 11 or mailbox 11. So that it gets to you. That's why these ports, there are some that are kind of designated to specific ports, like HTTP is on port 80. It doesn't have to be on port 80. You can change it. You can say in your home, you can also say if anything comes into mailbox 10, can like divert it to mailbox 11. So you get it regardless. It works the same way on computers. If you have an HTTP server and you don't want it to run on port 80, you want it to run on port 81, then people going to your server have to put in :81 at the end of their IP address or URL. The problem is no one remembers that. So a lot of times if people end up changing port numbers, the transfer happens internally in the home or on the server. So emails, stuff still comes through 80, but we're going to route it to 81. So that's kind of the gist of it. I hope that explains what ports are. I know, like, when I first got into web development, ports were kind of like a weird topic for me because they're logical. The fact that they're logical, I guess, didn't make sense to me at first, but there aren't that many ports on your computer, like physically. They're all logical ports. So as long as that makes sense. Browsers. So as of May of this year, Chrome is way in the lead with browsers. I mean, almost 65% of people use Chrome. And I'm surprised that 3% use Samsung Internet. I'm assuming that's all over like tablets and phones. That just seems like a lot. Um, Almost up there with Firefox and Edge. Anyway, so you can kind of take a look. It's kind of cool. Um, anyway, so what can a browser do? Well, everyone interacts with websites through their browser. So it renders HTML. They can also play audio. They can display images. They can render PDFs. And they can do things like ask your operating system to do things like print. But we're concerned more about the HTML side of it. So inside the browser, there's the software that's responsible for transforming a web page's HTML into the visual representation. And that's called the rendering pipeline. Every browser has one. Every browser had to write their own for the most part, unless they use Google Chrome's Chromium, but that's a different story. Which means that there are cases that the rendering pipeline of one browser handles some things differently than another browser, which is where if you've ever come across where like, oh, my margins are off because of it, like that's the reason, is because their pipelines are different. This was a huge issue when Internet Explorer was big because their pipeline was like all messed up. People always complained that Internet Explorer did not render their content like they expected, like every other browser. So how does the rendering pipeline work? Well, basically, once it gets a response back from the browser, or from the server, I'm sorry, the HTML, it parses it. It parses all the HTML out into the document object model, which we're not going to go over right now because I feel like that's the DOM is more appropriate for like a class on HTML. So I'm not going to go over it now, but it's basically a logical representation of the HTML that it received. Once it creates this DOM, it applies styling rules from your CSS according to the cascading part of CSS. And then it draws the page on the screen. And it does this as many times as your frames per second allows it. It also loads and executes any JavaScript as it comes across. And that JavaScript can do things like change the styling of your website, change the HTML. Oh, I guess that was the end. Yeah, that's the end. That's the gist of how the internet and the browsers work. This is my very first video putting it together. So if you guys have any feedback, let me know. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask them now. Otherwise, that's it. That's all I had for the internet and browsers. I feel like you guys should know about. I am willing to go back and talk over something though, if you need me to.
Maybe on the same topic, you think localhost and cookies and stuff like that are worth mentioning as part of this?
Sure, I could talk about cookies. That was going to be more for like a JavaScript side because I mean, you're not going to be controlling cookies with HTML and CSS. It's going to be with JavaScript
Right.
or something on the server. So I can't talk about it now. There's three, well, there's not just three mechanisms for storing data in a browser, but the big three are session storage, local storage, and cookie storage. The differences between them being cookies live on your computer. They get sent with every request to the server, regardless of if you want them to or not. Actually, I think you may be able to control them, but we don't use cookies that much. Like in the web development community, we try to stay away from cookies as much as I can. Then session storage and local storage. Cookies will stay on your computer until you physically delete them. Session storage and local storage, though, local storage will stay on your computer for as long as, oh my God, I want to get this, for as long as they're there until they expire, basically. And session storage, as soon as you reload the page, actually local storage clears when you close the browser, and session storage clears whenever you refresh the page. So you can kind of like, if you're looking to save data between refreshes on the page, you would put it in local storage. So for example, you being logged in to a server, your like cookie, your token, not cookie, your token can sit in local storage. There are caveats to putting things in local storage like a token, but web security is not this point of this conversation. But you have to physically, if you're looking to send that token in every request, you have to physically put it there out of local storage. Does that make sense? Whereas cookies are sent automatically, and a server can tell the browser to put a cookie on the computer, and that tends to be the most secure way to do it, because a cookie will not get sent on a request not made by that website. So every cookie can like automatically get sent to so we don't deal a lot with cookies too much because cookies are kind of frowned upon by people. They can easily delete them. People tend to know how to delete the cookies off the computer, whereas local storage and session storage are more reliable in that a session storage, you know that if they refresh the browser, it's gone. With local storage, you know that if they close the browser, it's gone. Yeah. And essentially they're just like, they can store, I even think they store amounts like the amount they can store is different from each other. And they typically can store key value pairs. They can store strings, booleans, every like there's nothing that they can't store, essentially. I mean, unless it's too big. There are the browser also has other storing mechanisms. I don't know if you know, but the browser, I know Chrome has like an internal database you can use. They have like if you hit F12 with Chrome open and you go to application, they have indexed DB and they have web SQL. So yeah, you can utilize those, but not everybody. Here, I'll open it up and pull it up so you guys can see. Here they have, if you go to your, you guys probably have seen this if you've worked. If you go to the application tab, you can see what's in your local storage, your session storage, and your cookies. And then right here, there's web SQL, and then there's indexed DB. Full-fledged, I think it's a full-fledged mini database. So I've never used it because not all browsers support it, but to each their own. Anything else you want to know, Levi, about storage?
I actually didn't know that about local storage, that it refreshes on closing the browser. I thought it just persists.
Yeah, you probably, yeah. Hang on a second. I haven't coded in so long because I'm an architect now. It's probably a good idea too. Hang on a second.
Oh, do you
Saved,
actually
oh,
like?
it is saved across browser sessions. Okay. That's such a, why would you not use it? Anyway, so yeah, a part of me, the local storage is saved across browser sessions. So you can close the browser and open it back up, and the local storage is still there. Yes, part of me.
I was gonna say that's so funny. Like, do you like? Is your job just actually just being like the no, don't do that, don't do that,
Yeah,
don't do that.
yeah, that's basically what my job has turned into. I haven't coded really in so long. And honestly, everything that I do uses like a library that's going to do it. Like I haven't saved something in local storage or session storage, but for myself in so long because all the libraries and frameworks I use do it for me. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but like I've already been through all this and I've already done it
Right.
myself. That now past it's almost like once you get into calculus, there's like you forget kind of like the easy stuff.
You just use a calculator.
Yeah, so yeah, local storage definitely persists across browser closings. Sessions do not. So you are right. But
Well,
is that you asked that because you're about your auth stuff you're talking about that you're working on?
yeah, but that's like I'm getting this weird error where like it's trying to parse JSON that is like undefined. I don't know. Maybe I
Okay.
could ask you about it after. Maybe I'll put like a Stack Overflow question on it because it's pretty weird.
Yeah, I'll help you for sure. Okay, anybody else?
Looks like Eric has a question in the chat.
Oh, I need 2 cents on self-taught dev trying to break into the tech industry. Yeah, good catch. I have a bad habit of not paying attention to the chat. So my 2 cents for breaking into the tech industry is, oh, no worries, is that it's possible, no matter how old you are, and no matter what career you're currently in, as long as you have the passion to want to learn how to do it, that's what I think is going to set you apart, and make you successful. I failed college. I went to University of Florida and I actually got kicked out. And then when I was working at Disney as a character performer, when I started teaching myself web development, because I had an idea for a website. And then as I started teaching myself how to build this website, I realized that I really like doing web development. And it then kind of spawned into like 4, 5, 6 years of on and off teaching myself, because I didn't have people to go to. I wasn't in the industry. I didn't put myself around other web developers. I wasn't in any meetups. And so every question I had, like, I bought books. I went on Stack Overflow and asked questions, and other places, other forums. And I've dealt with all sorts of responses for people like kind of putting you down since you don't know what you're talking about. And you're like, you should know this because it's so easy. When like, well, I'm self-taught, like, so I would just say that don't get discouraged. Like, if the reason why I have these meetups every week is so that to try to keep you encouraged to do web development. I know that teaching yourself and learning, especially when you're like older. I'm 35, so I say older, I'll be my age, but like when you're busy with kids and family, it definitely can become difficult, but it's definitely doable. There was a person who was on here a couple weeks ago. Oh man, I drew a blank on her name. She, I started this meetup like 2 years ago, and she didn't know really much anything about web development when she came. And she just told us a couple weeks ago that she was starting a job as a web developer. And I mean, I haven't been having any meetups for the past couple of years because of just personal stuff. So she definitely had to teach herself, but it's doable. So I highly suggest, if you're interested, to make the jump, to just teach yourself on the side. Start by making websites, making mock websites of existing ones, asking friends if they have websites they want you to make. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question, Eric. And if you're self-taught already and you're trying to break, yeah, and you're trying to get into it, you just got to apply to places. You just have to put yourself out there. It sounds silly, but you've been learning for the past year. I kind of think of it as like, it's going to sound silly, but bear with me. Like, it's like an art, and you're like the artist, and you have to keep putting yourself out there, and someone's going to start liking your art, right? I applied to so many jobs. I'll tell you this one time. Oh, PHP was actually the first scripting language I learned before JavaScript. And I took this PHP test for a job over the computer, where I had to share my screen, and they asked me the question and I would code it, right? I had taped PHP I had taped PHP stuff like behind my wall, by my monitor, so I could read it. And when the time came for me to code in front of them, I just like drew a blank, and I totally bombed. I mean, they were so nice, and they were like, take your time, but I knew that, oh my God, I took way too long. And it was really humbling to think that, like, man, I don't know as much as I thought I did, but I just kept applying and applying, and eventually one will stick. And if you're trying to get a job, always, always, always put your resume on Monster. Keep your LinkedIn updated. The reason why I say that is because recruiters are your number one friend when it comes to finding a job as a developer. Almost every job that I've had has come from a recruiter calling me about it, and me just taking the call and be like, okay, yeah, this sounds interesting, keep going. So always keep your LinkedIn updated, always keep your resume updated, and put it on Monster every once in a while. Every once in a while, just like make a little change and re-upload it to Monster, because when you do that, recruiters actually pay to get like the most recent resumes on Monster given to them. So keeping your resume updated will make sure that it will constantly be seen by different people. So that's my 2 cents. I mean, Levi, did it help you when you updated your resume and stuff? Because I know I helped you put yours together.
So I definitely personally see the difference. Since I haven't been actively applying for jobs, I haven't really seen like practical difference per se. I definitely feel like more confident with it, if that counts for anything. But what I did before, when I had my old resume, yeah, I was trying to apply for a bunch of jobs, and yeah, I actually didn't get like any responses, but I applied for maybe like 10 or 15 or something, which isn't like a ton, but
Yeah, and I mean, you also got to weed out the the people that aren't recruiters for development jobs, that are salespeople,
yeah.
But that just comes with time. You'll start picking out, I think, what sounds realistic and what's not. You'll kind of understand who the big players are in the industry here in Orlando, or you're not in Orlando, but like if you are in the area, you'll kind of like learn about who the big developer hiring teams are, what companies actually hire developers a lot. And so you'll kind of just, and actually you'll have a repertoire with some of these people. I get recruitment calls, and I'll pick them up and just be nice to the recruiter on the other line, and they'll keep you in their pocket in case something else comes up. And that's really the key, because they're going to be your job searchers for you. I mean, they make money if they find you a job, so it's in their best interest too. So anything else?
Hey, I got one question.
Yeah.
Just in the market here in Orlando, what's probably maybe like the top 2 languages would probably be good to learn here in the Orlando area?
Java is a huge one. I'm a JavaScript guy, and I get constant like recruiters looking for Java developers, because they just put a Java in a search, and like JavaScript comes back. But like Java is a huge one, and JavaScript, more specifically React or Angular. The only thing I have to say about that is, at my last job, I was on the hiring team, and I'm an Angular developer, and we could not find a good enough Angular developer. They seem to all like lean towards React, and we were an Angular company. So we were looking for someone good. Now that's just us. I don't know how other companies are, but React seems to be a pretty safe bet. But that also means that you are up against a lot of React developers, whereas Angular, there aren't as many of us, I want to say. And if you can get good enough, I get recruitment calls and emails every day, for Angular jobs, not just here in Florida, but like all over the United States. So
Awesome, thank you.
yeah. Yes. I'm an MA and it's React, Angular, or Python, some periods. Eric, what do you mean I'm an MA?
Massachusetts.
Oh, Massachusetts. I'm in Massachusetts. Wow. How did you? I guess I don't. You have to type all this. Here, Boston. Were you in Florida before? it's just, I don't know, being found out, like you being in Massachusetts and finding this meetup group just sounds kind of far-fetched, but it's not impossible. Yeah, like reactor, no, just expand my search. Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, so most of these meetings are gonna be virtual anyway. There was a company here in Orlando that reached out to me, said they had a space available for us to come to. But I don't know how everyone feels about meeting up, especially during like COVID times. So I was just gonna keep it virtual. But if there's a topic you guys want me to go over one week, feel free to tell me. I have a Discord. Oh, okay, you guys for Orlando. I have a Discord set up for us to be able to talk on. So I'm always like, if you message me on Meetup, I may or may not see it right away, but Discord, I'm always on Discord. Like I'm a gamer, so I'm always there. So yeah, you're in a Discord too, Eric. Cool. But yeah, I guess now it's kind of like whatever you guys want to talk about. It's almost 7 o'clock, which I guess would be the meetup's over, but I'm free to talk forever long you guys want to. I can go discuss anything. Talk about anything you guys are working on.
Yeah, it's kind of unrelated, but maybe I could show you the bug I'm working with.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can go over right now. I can probably help you troubleshoot it. Maybe seeing someone troubleshoot. I'm gonna stop sharing the screen. Maybe seeing someone troubleshoot, right? Might open doors for something. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So I guess I'll share screen.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let's see. Oh, to answer Lejes Jackson's question, he was mentioning monster.com, I think.
Yeah, Monster, Legest. Yeah. There's the Discord link. Yeah, Monster. Only reason I say that is because I have mine put on Indeed before, and there weren't anybody that reached out to me from Indeed. Monster was the one that seemed to do it. Yeah, and the way it works is, yeah, every time your resume gets updated on there, it goes to like the top of a stack, essentially, and then so the more you keep it updated, the more you're going to be at the stack.
Oh, sharing screen is disabled for
Oh, hang on,
participants.
let me see. Okay, let me see. Okay, I fixed it.
All right. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, this is actually a new error. Oh, looks like I'm already using this address. I wonder what else I have running.
Are you starting your server twice at the same time?
No, I put up the front end server. This one's on 3,000, and this one is on 5,000. But I don't know. Do I have something else open? Maybe I'll just switch the port.
Yeah, there's this problem that I've had before running. If something happens where like your IDE closes unexpectedly, or something along those lines, like the port gets hung up in Windows, and you have to go and terminate the port using command line. It's not difficult to do, but you have to go in and like do that.
Around 4,000. Okay. Hopefully that fixes it. Probably need to restart. All right, cool. So let's introduce the problem. So start by going to, okay, I actually remember. So, okay, that's a little weird. Oh yeah, this is my server. I have 1 second. Okay, so I had this thing with Postman, where I would send a login query. I would send a post request to login. and then I would get back
Yeah.
the
Postman.
yeah. So I'm sending login. I'm sending just some random username and password,
Uh-huh.
and I'm logging in. I'm
So,
getting access token.
so just a heads up, that's not the server you ran, because now you're hitting 5,000 port, and you put
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
so your server is running on 5,000.
Oh, that's so weird.
You have two of your own servers running on 4,000 and 5,000.
Okay, so I probably need to check my processes
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah, I can show. Yeah, why keep talking? I'll find it. There's a way to stop the port.
All right. So
Using
I
Windows.
I'm on Ubuntu.
Uh, never mind. You can find that yourself.
Yeah. All right. So I get back an access token,
Yep.
and I get back a cookie
Yep.
set as LID,
Yep.
and this should be a refresh token
Yeah.
right here. Refresh token.
Uh-huh.
Problem. So it's setting the cookie in Postman, and now that I have this cookie set, I can go to the refresh token path, send
Yep.
it, and I get a new access token, and that works fine. So let me go back to the other Chrome. So when I do it over here, I hit login. I'll put in the same credentials. Then just random. And now it's showing my username, and I got, and now I'm logged in. But the problem is, I open up my application tab, we got cookies, and I don't have the LID cookie set over here. And when I run the refresh, I believe I'm making a post request. Is this it? Oh, the problem is
Network. Yeah.
now these are all sending to the port 5000. Where did I set these? Oh, those might actually be for. I'm also using a WebSocket because it's supposed to be a chatting app,
Yeah.
but that's not totally set up yet. So I think we could just ignore that for now. Really, the main, yeah, this is probably. I want to place up to 4. Yeah. So right here is where we're sending the login, and this should be working. So yeah, do you think you recognize maybe anything we could look at to figure out why that cookie isn't being sent? I could show you in the server where it's supposed to be sent.
Yeah. Let me see where it's being sent.
Okay, it should be in the routes, in the login function, and here. This is what the response should be.
I mean, it looks fine to me.
And it's so weird because it's working in Postman, but
Yeah.
it's not working in the browser.
Have you tried it in a different browser?
No. I actually do have Firefox. Ubuntu comes with it, I think. So let's try. Let's go to localhost. Port 4000.
That's your server, right? 3,000 is
Oh
your.
yeah. Okay, log in. Okay, and now inspect. I'm guessing it's in the same spot.
Storage at the bottom.
For
And then, like, see the tabs across the top? It says
Yeah.
storage. Up, click.
storage.
Right.
Up
Yeah,
here?
go to the right. Yeah, right. One more.
Oh yeah, got it. Is that it? I don't know. Oh, there was this other error actually that I wanted to show that I was getting. Yeah, I think this is related to it. Yeah, it is. It's coming from this file.
Yeah, click it.
This is where I'm making the refresh request.
Yeah, because you click it.
Oh, this is the code.
Yeah. So what you're doing is you're getting fetch.
Yeah, just doing this on page load, basically.
Okay, where's it getting the token though? Oh, it's not.
It's supposed to be sent with the cookie.
Oh, you have to. Okay, you have to set. Okay, go to. Oh, you did put credentials include. Try. Go to that. Go to that code.
Okay. Be up here.
Try. Okay, in the on line 9, make another line after it. Put in. Try mode colon. And then quote semi or same dash origin. Yeah. Try that.
Let's see. Go back to Chrome. Okay, so now I actually have to log in again. Let's restart.
It's just. I mean, I'm spitballing because I see some.
Maybe it worked. Let's see. Who's in application?
Hmm.
What's this output we got? Failed to fetch type error. Looks like we got something with the same origin. The URL's origin is not the same as the request origin.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, remove that then. Request what the URL or is it the same as the request? Yeah, because you guys are running on different servers. This person has said that the with credentials include fixed it for them, but you have that.
Right.
Yeah, method post. Yeah, so this sounds like it's a server thing, not a this thing.
It would probably be browser, no? I mean, it seems like.
Oh, try this. This person says it's actually credentials is same dash origin according to the MDN docs for the fetch API, which is what you're using. Yeah,
Like that?
that's what this person says. If you're using the fetch API, which I see that you're using.
Yeah. Okay. So let's try. Yeah, I was getting this error before. We'll still try it again, but yeah, I'm getting a lot of this. Well, let's check cookies. Yeah.
But then yeah.
Yeah, I've been on this like all day, man. Oh. Oh, so I was trying to figure out where this this thing comes from. Apparently it's when you parse, when you JSON parse, when you call JSON parse and you pass an undefined,
Yeah.
you get this, but instead of capital F, it's capital U. So, and I stopped getting it. When did I stop getting it? I don't remember if it was at which point of the request it was. It might have been when I didn't pass values in the body, and then instead I just set them as static values in the server. Maybe there's a problem with the values getting there.
The only thing I could think of. No, no. Can you go to your server? That's where the cookie is set.
Yep. Right here.
Create refresh token. Okay, yeah. What's the, what if you just remove the path,
This one.
right? Like what, I mean, like,
I'm not sure. I've been like messing around with it a lot. All right, let's try. Also, I've been getting this thing. I don't know if
yeah,
something's taking a long time to load.
are you rebuilding the server every time you make a change? Do you have to, or is it refreshing itself?
I have NodeMon, no daemon on it.
Okay, okay, yeah.
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 Well, maybe I should just switch to Axios or something. I think that might do something.
Hang on a second. I'm trying to read some of this stuff. It's not your code as more of a, I don't know. I don't think it's your front end. I think it's your back end talking to the browser.
That makes sense. That's like the cookie relationship.
Yeah. You're not getting cores errors, are you?
No, I set cores a few times and I think it's fine. I mean, now that I switched it to 5,000, I don't know. I switched it to.
Well, cores is like just a middleware in your express routing.
Right. Yeah. So but now I'm noticing this refresh token path is sending to 5,000.
Yeah,
I should probably fix that. Where's that set? Probably in here. Yeah. Let's try that. Okay, so yeah, I think something just happened. I'm still getting this.
forbidden.
So, yeah, I don't want to make you like sit here and just debug this thing like all day.
No, it's What if you look at the response from the request? Is the token, is the cookie being sent? Like, look at the network tab.
I actually think it might be.
Yeah, I think it is too, but I just want to make sure.
Let's see if we can yeah, refresh, try to get it. Okay, so do this. I should get,
Click the fetch/XHR at the top of the page. At the top of this, see the like their see the bar graph above you.
on
See the
this.
word, yeah, see the word all above that is like highlighted.
Yeah.
Click fetch/XHR. Okay, that's gonna show you. There's your login call.
Yeah. So I think this one should be called right afterwards. I think this is it.
Yeah, but is it? Can I see the login call? Because that's gonna return you. Click your
Oh,
login
yeah,
call.
sure.
Yeah, click the response.
A
Tab at the top. Yep.
is the access token.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Look at the headers then. There's a headers like.
Yeah.
Where is it? Headers. Response headers right here. Set cookie.
Set cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's right here.
Let's see.
So weird.
And look at refresh token. Oh,
The response.
no, the token
Or-
itself. The call refresh underscore token.
Like the
The right, no, right there, under where your login call is on the left.
oh, this
Yeah,
one.
yeah, click that. Yeah. Scroll down to the request. Okay, I just want to make sure that it really wasn't. What is this? You're not like clearing the cookie, are you, accidentally?
In the code, you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's a thing you have.
I doubt it. In here.
But yeah, I don't think you can clear it.
I was getting an error a few times where it was like can't set data after response has been set, which is when one of these gets called after one of these has already been called.
Yeah.
I tried to resolve it by using like if else in places, and I'm not getting it right now, but
Okay.
I'm curious, what are you searching to like try to find answers for this?
Well, I just said, I Googled browser not setting cookie from Express.js. That's what I said. I mean, these people say that the credentials include is what their problem was. But
Right.
yours isn't even being set.
Yeah.
Do you have, what if you put in your server, what if you put a time to live? I don't know, like an expiration date, right?
Yeah. I should be using one. I have this create refresh token function.
Yeah, but the cookie itself.
Or, oh wait, these are here.
It's called
And then
expires, and then just do like
15 minutes.
No, it's gotta be milliseconds. So
Oh yeah, I thought with this is
no,
actually no, that's JWT.
it's a number. So it's like
Yeah.
what, 15 times? Just do 15.
I do like 1,000 times 60
Yeah,
times 60
there you go.
times 15. Does not take a number.
Oh, it says no overload messages call. But I'm looking at it right here.
The expected type comes from property. Oh, it takes a date. Okay, so I can just make a new date.
Oh, there you go. Date. Yeah, new date. Okay. Huh.
Do I just put in? I could do like new date plus.
You can do date dot now. Inside date. Yeah, inside the parentheses. No, you can do no inside the parentheses, do date dot now plus. And then you can put in your 15-minute time slot, 1,000
Okay.
times 60. Oh, no,
Yeah,
times
okay.
ooh, to the 15th power. Jesus.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's try this again. Restart. Plug in. Okay. So log in. We are, or let me check the over here. Okay, nothing.
Man, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know why your cookies aren't being set.
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess I'll just make something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no clue.
Well, thanks for your help.
Yeah.
Um,
Let me know if you get it fixed. I wish I could help you more. I don't Express.js, I don't mess with too much. And I've set cookies once before using Nest.js, sorry, Nest. And I didn't have this problem. Everything was sent just fine. So I don't know what's causing this right now.
Yeah. All right. I'll
Um,
post something on Stack Overflow maybe, and
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yep. Sorry about that, man. Take it easy.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
Have a good
Bye.
night.